We are continuing our candidate interviews sponsored by the Basehor Community Library, supported by the League of Women Voters of Leavenworth County. Recordings of each interview will be posted on the library's website. As a reminder, the election is November 4th, and early voting starts October 15th. Registration for voting ends October 14th. So if you're not registered, change your name or address, register at the courthouse or kansasvotes.org, ksvotes.org. My name is Rachel Hissong, Director of the Basehor Community Library. And with us is Vernon J. Fields, who is running for mayor of the city of Basehor. Mr. Fields will be introducing himself and answering a few questions for voters. Thanks for taking the time today, Mr. Fields, and please start with your introduction.
Well, thank you, Rachel, for having me. Um, I've been a Basehor resident since I got transferred here by the Department of Justice in 2000. It's the only place I've ever lived in Kansas, and I love it here. Um, I just I've been on the city council for 13 years. When I retired in 2009, I thought I was just going to float away into the sunset and just kind of do my retirement thing. And I was asked by the mayor to become part of the planning commission and ultimately part of the city council.
Okay, now on to the questions. Number one, what are the three things you want to work for and support if you are elected?
It's a great question. The city, I believe, is doing very well. There are some challenges that we need to address, but the city, for the most part, is doing very well. I'd have to say that the three things. One would be keeping taxes low. Uh, since I've been here, my taxes have increased three times. Three times uh, um, from when I moved in, and it's like wow. So every time there's some talk about taxes, I have to look and say, look, I'm a retired person. I live on a retired income, live on a fixed income. Is there anything we can do about the taxes? And I know that there's only so much that the city can do because of the other taxing jurisdictions, because of state law. I still think that we need to lower taxes. One way to look at lowering taxes is, and people that have heard me talk before will hear me talk about not converting residential, a commercial property that's set aside for commercial use to residential. Right now, it's a 90% differential between the amounts of monies we get in from commercial industry versus residential. And we need to change that balance. It's just, we had a housing crisis in 2008, and we saw the devastation of that. We cannot afford to have that. The second thing is public safety. I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer, so public safety and community safety will always, always, always be on my mind. Someone had said that you have to look at getting the biggest bang for the buck. It's like, well, I do understand that, but if we don't have good officers, if we don't have a good police department, if we don't have a good fire department, then it's just gonna not be good for public safety. The other thing is road improvement. Many people know that I worked really, really hard for over 10 years to try to secure the funding for 155th Street and even parallel. And I was successful in doing that. That 7.9 million and that 5.3 million for approximate for getting both those roads done is it was important. Again, that's because of public safety. And the final piece of that is I heard recently, and I think you can go on the city website to say that there was approximately $19 million that came in that help support these projects. Well, I have to say, um, 13 of the million came in because of direct interventions or direct activities of me. It's been said if that money was not brought in, we would have to have a mill rate of 146. So I would tell people as I'm going out working on these projects that the goal of mine is to have the equivalence of a tax deduction. There it is, folks. 146 meals, 13 million of it directly because of my actions. And finally, quality of life. I moved to Basehor from Colorado to here, and people say, "Well, go to Basehor and live there because you'll find that the quality of life is just amazing." I have to agree with them. I have to agree with them. But on the same token, when I looked at 155th Street for years, I could barely get up and down the road. So, uh, adding parks, which is something that back in 2012 I spoke about. Um, we just need to look at ways to increase the quality of life, and we can do that. Okay.
Okay, number two. What are the three things you would like to get rid of or change?
Okay. Okay. You guys heard me talk about tax, tax, tax. Boy, I tell you, I just really, really, really struggle with taxes. While I do understand the importance of TIFs and CIDs, and other forms of incentives to get people to come to Basehor, we only have one place in Basehor that is using the CID. The other companies are coming here without asking for incentives, especially to my knowledge. The latest two, I think you can find them on 2440 and 155th. They came in with their own money. They can afford to do that. Basehor is a place where people want to come. People want to do business here. We want to keep our money here in Basehor, and the only way to do that is to have more and more people come and bring their businesses here. Now, granted, we can't buy everything in Basehor. Thank God we have a great grocery store coming, so at least you can recoup some of that monies here in the city of Basehor. But Basehor doesn't have enough commercial stuff. So but on the same token, when I look at 2440 and I look at the strip malls that is on the south side of 2440, not a single incentive was given. And those malls are full. People want to come to Basehor. Next is growth. Back in 2012, I was interviewed about the growth in the city of Basehor. And I said, growth is good as long as it isn't too detrimental. So, growth, I mean, if you keep growing and growing and growing, at some point, you're going to have to stop. I talked about the 90% and the 10% that's going to business. Shift that growth more toward business if we can. I remember telling people way back when 2012, when I got here, I could look out my back door and I could see the cows and the horses and the chickens, and now it's like I see housing and housing and housing, and these are houses that are meaningful, not small houses, not houses of poor quality, but we need to make sure that we have good growth and growth that's appropriate and growth that is responsible. And the last, here I go again. You know what? This called me the tax man because this is it. I don't believe in tax and spend. I don't believe. I believe that we need to be able to have enough resources put aside to support what we have here in Basehor. Okay.
All right, number three. What are three strengths or experiences that you want the voters to know about you?
Okay. I've been working for the city of Basehor since 2009. I'm not shy. I'm not shy. If something smells rotten, I point it out. Uh, I'm strong minded and I'm an independent thinker. Do I get jumped on or harped on it because I say something that's different than what everybody else is saying? The answer is yes, but it doesn't change the conviction. If it is wrong, it is wrong. If it is right, it is right. So I continue to fight for making sure that all voices are heard. And I know there are times that I'm on the city council when everybody is going toward one direction, but it's like there are other people in the community that we really need to hear their voice from, but might not be they might be shy. For me, I'm not going to be shy. I'm going to take up that position and say, hey, look, what about this person here? What about this group of people here? What about this part of town here? I remember for a long time And again, I get criticized for stuff like this, and I'm okay with that. I remember saying that certain parts of the city is going to take care of itself. But what about the core city? What about things right here? Now we see that people are walking up and down the streets on 155th. I remember seeing a young a young mother with a stroller pushing her kid down the street, and it was before we had sidewalks. So no, I that's the person that I'm working for, as well as everybody else. So if someone doesn't bring that up, I bring it up. The second thing is I need to highlight my education. I left home at 20, joined the United States Army, uh, mostly for the GI Bill and also the experience. The Army was an amazing experience. I stayed in the Army for a long time. But I took that GI Bill and went ahead and got an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a PhD. I did all those to be able to help me be able to do what I do today. I represented the city of Basehor on the local level, on the regional level, on the national level. And I will continue to do that. And I don't know, right, wrong, or indifferent, that PhD opens doors for me to be able to highlight some of the amazing things that are going on here in Basehor. And finally, I said it earlier, um, securing money for a project, but probably I know you talked about experiences, and this is not an experience, but I've been married for 40 amazing years, and I just want to end with that. My wife is just amazing. I worked for increasing parkland here in the city of Basehor since 2012. Again, I was criticized for this, but I said I want Basehor to have 640 acres of parkland. As we've been seeing over the last few years, parkland is increasing. And it's not just the north side of Basehor, it's the south side of Basehor also that deserves to have the same amenities. That's all I have.
All right. Finally, I will give you the last word for a wrap up. Thank you for running for office and sharing your perspectives with us.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for setting up this interview. As I've been telling people, this is win or lose. I'm giving my best. I've been dedicated to the city for many, many years. I would truly love to have your vote. Looking forward to this election, and we're going to go ahead and, as the Army would say, I'm going to sign off from here.
Thank you.